Democratic Socialists celebrate their recent primary wins, California's old guard is looking to steal back the spotlight. Kamala Harris showing up at a Los Angeles Sparks WNBA game, delivering a pep talk that some critics called more word salad than winning speech.
I travel our country. Young girls, boys, people of every gender, background, race, watch the W. Yeah. And understand how inspiring it is. So keep doing what you're doing. It is giving them a sense of their value and their dignity and what they have a right to expect from this world.
Okay, and California Governor Gavin Newsom is trying to get himself out there, going on a midterms road trip tour and trashing his least favorite trillionaire, Elon Musk.
It was the first, it was one of the first Teslas off the line. I've been one of their biggest proponents, supporters. It was regulation in California that created the conditions that allowed him to take the risk to become the multi-billionaire, maybe trillionaire that he's become.
Okay, to that in just a moment. Back to Kamala Harris, Emily. So if you're gearing up, getting yourself all geared up to get out, play a big game, hit the floor, Kamala Harris, that really went a long way in pumping up those players.
I feel like there should be a global policy against having her anywhere near a locker room pre-game because I can think of nothing more deflating than listening to her and what she has to say. Sophie Cunningham did more for the WNBA in her 2 seconds of being a ring girl at the UFC fight, which was so explosive and awesome, than the vice president. I feel sorry for those women who are actually seeking any type of inspiration from her. But we're not surprised by this. And the unfortunate part to me is that she is still being enlisted as somehow a mouthpiece of the Democrat Party, she continues to flop in all of her speeches. I think fundraising continues to work, which surprises me. But I love this Chiron so much because she just whiffs every single time. I don't understand why the fact that her speeches that lack substance both in policy and actual ignition continue to be spread throughout. And bringing in Gavin Newsom, too, claiming responsibility for Elon Musk's success. There is nothing worse than people trying to cash in on other people's success when so clearly it was because of his own brains. And it's not because of Gavin Newsom, it's despite him. I mean, I'm one of millions of small family businesses who had to flee California because of the regulations, because they were so stifling. So I would love to share with Gavin Newsom, if he has a minute of his time, why my family suffered under his watch, why our small businesses had to close under his watch instead of him thinking he is the reason that Elon Musk's empire thrived.
Yeah, Harold, it sounds like you didn't build that. We've heard that before. I mean, why is there this constant refrain of, demonizing the rich and cutting down those that have been successful?
So I look at it a little differently. I thought that first off, I thought that Kamala Harris, and I've been critical of her at times, I thought her speech there was actually not a bad speech. I mean, her way she delivers it made cool, but I thought the substance here, when I've agreed with in the past, when I think she has not been entirely coherent at times. Two, with Governor Newsom, there's a refrain that says that people in our country who have gained great economic success, business success, have also to thank the public good and the public resources for helping them do it. Elon Musk is certainly benefited as much as any business person has from that, but he's the greatest technologist of many generations. I have my issues with some of the ways these technology guys go about building companies and building success, unlike some of the great titans of the past who created jobs, contributed heavily to the communities that they did their business in. Look at some of these companies, they don't necessarily do that. But Elon Musk has every right to move where he wants to move, and the governor has every right to make the case that he should not be responsible for that. But what Democrats need to be doing is more what Gavin is doing here. I'm not saying I agree totally with what he's doing, but we need a contest of ideas in our party. We need to figure out whom do we want to be in 2028. I hope it's not socialist. I hope it's not anti-America. I hope it's figuring out ways to enlarge the middle class, give more people opportunities to not only make more money, but for their kids to have a belief that the American dream was within reach. We're not there yet, I would agree. But I like where we're headed. I like where they're headed more so than I like where some of these socialists, where they want to take the party.
Is this a sign that both of them see themselves still as leaders of the Democrat Party, Jesse?
That's why it's so funny. All right, well, Newsom's like the ex-girlfriend, when the guy breaks up and then makes it big. And then the girl is like, you were nothing when we met. I made you. And he's like, lose my number. But, that's kind of how it was. So Musk started in California, and they gave him all these lavish tax credits and subsidies. And then California went crazy with COVID and transmania and homeless. And the sitting governor was attacking the state's most prolific CEO, even went after his own child. So then he was like, all right, I'm taking this and I'm going to Texas. And Texas gave him all the goodies too, because every state wants Elon there. He's got 50 women vying for his time. If it wasn't California, it was going to be somebody else. Now, Kamala, I'm reading these books with my son, Choose Your Own Adventure. And, it's like, turn to page 37. It's like a whole different story. I see this, how close we were to having a woman president. And this is what it would have been like for 4 years.
Is that because she's Kamala or because she's a woman, Jesse?
Both.
Come on.
The future is female, women empowerment. And anytime I attacked her, I would have been called, I'm afraid of powerful women. And I'm not. I just don't like her very much. So if she wins the presidency, I will make a promise right now. I will self-deport. I will self-deport, probably France. You know how I've recently been. And the only thing that'll make me come back is if Doug has an affair. That will be the most exciting thing that could ever happen to the Kamala Harris presidency. That I will fly back for.
My wife Emma just texted me and said, would you please call home?
Oh, my gosh.
I should run that by her.
Well, I mean, you look at her and you look at that speech, and it's ridiculous. We make fun of her all the time, and she is a disaster, and it is a word salad. But the thing is, she won't leave. In the old days, politics, if you lost, and she just lost big, all right? It's an embarrassment. She should go off into the sunset, but she doesn't. Because I think politics these days, there is no shame anymore. I'm going back to my earliest races. Mondale, he left. He could have run again. He could have come at it again. He didn't. Al Gore, he walked away and made that stupid movie. John Kerry, he was gone. Mitt Romney, bye-bye, Mitt. They were dignified enough to know that their time was up, and they walked away. She's not going to walk away, though. And that's the thing. What's her book? 107 days. So she's saying, oh, I would have won if not for that 107 day. I had the short campaign. So and the thing is, it's going to work for her. She is the front runner. So socialists have a stronger chance because she's such a dud that she's in front of Newsom, Buttigieg, all these other conventional candidates. That is going to give the far left a chance to come riding in because they're the only ones who have any excitement, right? So, yeah, she's a disaster, but it doesn't matter. If she won't leave, she's got the name recognition. She's at the head.
She's leading in the polls now by double digits in some new presidential polling over Gavin Newsom.
Wow.
But
Democrats might have to deal with it.
You guys know this. The party that was outside the White House when Obama was in meant the Republicans. In 2014, which is the equivalent time of the second term, the front runner was Jeb Bush. In Joe Biden's term, the front runner at this time in his term was Ron DeSantis.
You really don't want Kamala Harris.
No, but I just don't. I think we're going to have a contest of ideas, and if she wins that contest of ideas, bless her heart. But you got to win the contest.
Going to win a contest of ideas. Okay.
Your wife is texting me again.
Oh, no,
Why does my wife have your cell?
all right.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.